Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is March the 13th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Work went well. It was a successful hump day. Let's see here. Food corner. I made a Mexican beef and rice bowl as I often do. It was pretty tasty. Also, I did the fry bread again. Had a couple of fry bread tacos, and they were very yummy. I will say though, I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing that at the frequency I have been, like every week now. I think I don't know. It's making me feel a little too fat every time I go to make them, but they are so delicious. Um, and yeah, side of chips, little tortilla chips. But yeah, it was a good meal, usual. Let's see here. Really not much to really yap about on the me end. Just hanging out, living life one day at a time. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my startup, and then I'm going to get into some news. Talk about what's going on in the world. Okay. Our first story comes from Yahoo News, or no, actually comes from Reuters, if I'm being more specific. Japanese firm Space One Kairos rocket explodes on inaugural flight. Kairos, a small solid fuel rocket made by Japan's Space One, exploded just seconds into its inaugural launch on Wednesday as the firm tried to become the first Japanese company to put a satellite in orbit. The setback for Space One and the rocket industry in Japan comes as the government and investors ramp up support for the sector amid a national security buildup and skyrocketing demand for commercial satellites. The 18 I scrolled too far. The 18-meter, 59-foot rocket. Um, just to tell you the difference between those, there you go. I read those together. My bad. Um, Exploded 5 seconds after lifting off, leaving behind a large cloud of smoke. A fire, fragments of the rocket, and sprays of firefighting water near the launch pad on the tip of the mountainous Kii Peninsula in western Japan, visible on local media live streams. The rocket terminated the flight after judging that the achievement of its mission would be difficult. Company president Masakazu Toyota said. Space One did not specify what triggered self destruction after the first stage engine ignited, or when the company would launch its next Kairos, only pledging an investigation into the explosion. So, yeah, I mean, essentially, what Space One's trying to do here is they want to become like this space courier service. That's like the really big, goal or aim of this company. And they, had gotten a defense ministry contract from Japan, and so they're like, okay, let's get this shit up. And they also have this competition with a rival group called Rocket Labs. So they're like, hey, we're gonna be more or less doing the same kind of thing. Let's just get our first rocket up there. But apparently, just like Rocket Labs, their first rocket also exploded, and so they're like, okay, this is a big setback. It's a bummer, but we're gonna bounce back strong. We can definitely do this shit. We just gotta keep at it. So we'll definitely see what happens there. I'm going to read my highlighted portion before I move along. Rocket Lab has launched more than 40 Electron small rockets from New Zealand since 2017 at roughly $7 million per flight. Several Japanese companies have used Electron for their missions, including radar satellite makers IQPS and Synspective, and orbital debris removal startup Astroscale. So, that's kind of what they're looking like. That's what they more or less are running on the same kind of model and what they want to be. We'll see. I feel like last time we were talking about Japan and space, we were definitely talking about the JAXA project, with their little, moon rover. I don't have anything to really like update there, but it's cool to see more of these kind of things. Though I will say, I get a little bit bummed out the more commercialized this shit gets. I mean, this is something that you're taking satellites up into space, and that has a cool, useful purpose and all that kind of stuff. But it does feel very akin to the same thing, like what Blue Origin is, or what SpaceX trying to do, like with the whole idea of just saying like, hey, it's another step towards making this so like, yeah, we can get you onto flights in like low Earth orbit or whatever the fuck, like, and you pay a bunch of money, and I don't know, I just don't like that aspect of space exploration. But this is a necessary thing, and it's cool in terms of like getting satellites up there and all that. So I'm always down to cover it. Obviously a bummer that this ended in a setback. Like they said, they don't like to use the word failure, but I'm sure they're going to bounce back stronger and make it happen. They're going to be in the skies. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next beat. From NBC News, student pilot allegedly tries to storm Alaska Airlines cockpit multiple times mid-flight. Bro, there's just so much trouble in the goddamn skies. A student pilot tried getting into the cockpit of a cross-county flight to Dulles, Virginia, telling crew members he was merely testing them with this dangerous stunt, authorities said. Nathan Jones, 19, was aboard Alaska Airlines Flight 322 from San Diego to Dulles International Airport on March 3rd when he made three separate attempts to go to the front of the plane and open the aircraft's cockpit door, according to an affidavit by Federal Marshal Thomas Patton. Flight attendants requested the assistance of an off-duty law enforcement officers who restrained Jones in flex cuffs and sat on either side of him for the remainder of the flight, Patterson said. When flight attendants asked Jones what he was doing, the defendant allegedly said he was testing them, according to the affidavit. Jones has been charged with alleged interference with a flight crew, which carries a maximum penalty of 20 years behind bars. Jones has been living with his mother in Northern Virginia before this incident, and defense lawyer Robert Jenkins wants his client psychologically evaluated before any kind of trial. Let's see here. The defense on Wednesday filed a letter with the jailers in Alexandria, Virginia, who said Jones is on suicide watch while displaying incoherent speech, disorganized behavior, mood lability, and appears to be experiencing psychosis. Skim ahead a little further. After Flight 322 landed, Jones consented to have his belongings searched, and investigators found multiple notebooks with writings describing how to operate an aircraft, including takeoff, in air, and landing techniques, Patterson wrote. And I gotta say here, I'm glad that we have the last part there with the landing. I feel like maybe he did. I don't know. Obviously, I'm speculating. I don't have the details on what he was trying to do if he were to get in there. But I mean, hopefully he at least had the intentions of trying to fly and land a plane and not just like, I don't know, like just fly it into or do something with it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm only speculating. But I'm glad that no one was harmed here. I'm glad that cool heads, said, hey, let's put a kibosh in the situation, and the off-duty officers were able to restrain this person. And then they went the extra mile and put a beverage cart in front of the cockpit door to stop him. But granted, he was able to try this 3 times. I think after the second time you see this guy at the cockpit door, it's Jover. In fact, the first time maybe even, because it's like, what are you doing up here? Oh, I was looking for something. And it's like, okay, I can help you with that. Like, maybe you get one time to jiggle the door, and then that's it. And then I'm clocking your ass. I don't know, because I'm not trying to die. I'm definitely not trying to die today in the air like that. Oh, no, 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 no. Because someone wants to get a little freaky with the cockpit and the controls. No thanks. No thank you, Mr. Jones. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope that this guy gets the help he needs. But it's crazy, man. Like, I was kind of talking to my coworkers, and they were pretty tuned in because I was like, yeah, it's just a crazy time to be in the skies right now. Whether you're in a small plane or you're in a Boeing. A bit of side news. I kind of was thinking to say this, but I'm kind of just in the mood to rant about it. Apparently, the whistleblower, and I should have his name at the ready, but maybe might do a little bit more detailed covers about this. But he committed suicide. I'm gonna put the quotations there. I feel like I should do that. Right after his, I think his deposition, which is pretty crazy. That happened. Boeing literally so like, oh, we send our condolences. We're really sad that happened. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure you're so sad, Boeing. But yeah, that might be something we talk about a little bit later. But I don't know. We're just talking about so much Sky news, so much Boeing shit. Like goddamn. But yeah, we're in the skies. Let's take it to the streets. Let's take it to Brooklyn. From CNN, Brooklyn pastor Bling Bishop found guilty of spending $90,000 of his parishioners' savings on luxury goods. Now, this is a bit of an update. The last time we covered this was way back last year with Late Start. That was like my first time I had them on, and we got to really chop this up, and it was really interesting. I would say definitely go check that out if you haven't on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever. But yeah, this is a pretty big update, so I figured, hey, I'll cover it solo. A flashy jewelry wearing Brooklyn pastor was convicted Monday in federal court of using a parishioner's retirement savings and trying to extort a businessman while touting he had connections to the New York City mayor. Lamar Whitehead, nicknamed the Bling Bishop, is a pastor at the Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries. He was found guilty of 5 counts, including wire fraud, attempted extortion, and making false statements to the FBI. The convictions are from 3 separate schemes. Whitehead, known for his Louis Vuitton suits and extravagant jewelry, also made headlines in 2022 after he said he and his said wife were robbed of $1 million worth of jewelry at their church. Man, am I really that off on time? I'm just like Joe Biden, really, when it comes to this shit. I cannot recall. Okay, my bad. But yeah, apparently that was like 2 years ago. But technically, like then it would have been like a year. It's early into 2024. Whatever, whatever. It's close enough. But yeah, let's read a little further. As a unanimous jury found, Lamar Whitehead abused the trust placed in him by a parishioner, tried to obtain a fraudulent loan using fake bank records, bullied a businessman for $5,000, tried to defraud him out of far more than that, and lied to federal agents. U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Damian Williams, said in a news release. Whitehead's reprehensible lies and criminal conduct have caught up with him, as he now stands convicted of 5 federal crimes and faces time in prison, Williams said. Prosecutors said that Whitehead defrauded one of his parishioners by convincing her to invest $90,000 of her retirement savings with him, according to the indictment. The document said Whitehead would help her buy a home and invest the money, but he used it on luxury goods and personal expenses. Whitehead also extorted a businessman for $5,000 and then attempted to convince the man to loan him $500,000 and grant him a stake in real estate transactions in exchange for obtaining favorable connections by the New York City government that he knew he could not provide, according to the indictment. Whitehead used his ties with New York City Mayor Eric Adams to try to make the deal, the district attorney's office said in a news release. Which is just so crazy that these 2 dudes, I do believe that they do fuck with each other, though, because they just seem like birds of a feather. Now, I don't think Whitehead had the access that he thought he did and could, make the moves he was trying to tout that he could make. But like I said, I do think birds of a feather flock together. We've covered a little bit of Eric Adams, a bit of his alleged crimes, potential crimes, potential bribes and coercion with Turkey, things of that nature. But hey, he's a Bitcoin mayor. He does what he does. Whatever. Um, that being said, I'm glad that this dude is seeing some justice, and not in terms of like the whole him getting robbed shit, because that's initially what we covered him on. And I feel like if memory serves me correctly, Ethan was the guy who kind of clocked it and was like, maybe this dude was like fucking like made that whole shit up. Maybe that was like some fuckery in and of itself. And I don't know, maybe so. But everything about this dude just seems so fraudulent. He has grifter written all over him, and not to mention he's a problematic pastor on top of that shit. Like, he's fat phobic, he's homophobic. Like, this dude's just no good. He's all out trash, if you ask me. So in a way, this is just desserts. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to pull here? Yeah, each count carries a maximum sentence of 20 years, except for the false statements count, which is a maximum sentence of 5 years, according to the district attorney's office. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, of course, he's gonna try to appeal this shit. We'll see how that goes. If I, hear any more news, of course, I will keep you posted about it for sure. All right, so we have made it all the way to the end of the episode. We have one more thing I wanted to cover before I let you go. But let me go ahead and take my last break. And we'll get into some discount news, a little bit of budget news. You know what I mean? A little bit of family tree issues, maybe. I don't know. Okay. Excuse me. From CNN, Family Dollar and Dollar Tree will close 1,000 stores. Family Dollar, the struggling discount chain that caters to low-income customers, predominantly in cities, said Wednesday it will close nearly 1,000 stores. Years of mismanagement and poor conditions in stores have hurt Family Dollar's brand. Family Dollar, which is owned by Dollar Tree, was recently fined more than $40 million for a rat infestation at a warehouse that forced hundreds of stores to temporarily close. So that's icky. That's gross. Decades of high inflation has hit shoppers hard, and a general consumer pullback has impacted Family Dollar customers and the chain's profits, exacerbating its battle with discount competitors such as Dollar General, Walmart, and others. Now, what's crazy to me was I thought that Family Dollar was actually kind of doing pretty well, like post-COVID, just with like everything being so much more expensive, everything kind of going up and up and up, everyone always looking for deals. I thought these dollar stores were doing like a lot better, but it turns out that really it was only Dollar General that was making the most boon out of that situation. And I think that kind of has to do with, the mismanagement, but also the fact that when you kind of did the apples to apples, the comparison, it was a bit more expensive to shop at Family Dollar or Dollar Tree as opposed to Dollar General, which is something that kind of surprised me. I mean, granted, to me, these are a milieu of the same things. But my Dollar Tree, my local, or not my Dollar Tree, I knew I was going to get these fucking confused. But my Dollar General that I used to frequent a lot, and if I do have to go to a Dollar General, that's the one I go to, there was always boxes. There was always shit everywhere. It was always a fucking mess. They never had enough people on, and like there was always gonna be lines. But granted, I could find that at any one of these kind of stores. But this article kind of says it's the other way around, actually. And Family Dollar and Dollar Tree had that problem more. They had more of that issue. So I was like, okay, I mean, I could believe it because I've had that situation happen literally at Family Dollar and Dollar General. So I will say, though, I'm not much of a Dollar Tree guy. Also, that was kind of surprising to me that Dollar Tree was the one that bought Family Dollar. I was like, wow, I would have thought it would have been, once again, the other way around. But hey, so is what I know. And it's different for every area. This is kind of, obviously a generality that we're talking about here. Excuse me. Family Dollar will close 600 locations this year and 370 stores over the next several years as the store's leases expire. Family Dollar has around 8,000 US stores. Dollar Tree also said it will close 30 stores as leases expire. So, obviously a big rub here is like jobs. Like people losing their jobs in general. Y'all know I fucking hate that shit. I rail against that shit. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate. Granted, these jobs are very low paying and they ask so fucking much of you. I remember potentially wanting to apply for a job and I think I filled out the application and was like, I don't care about this. Like, I don't care if they hit me up. I'm not even gonna bother. Cause it's like every time I would go, it's a miserable experience. Um Actually, I kinda wanna talk about that too, because I remember going to Family Dollar a lot. I don't know, like when I got to a certain place in my life, I was like all by myself. I had no money, and I was like, shit, I can't afford anything. Like, I gotta fucking live. I can't just keep eating out like I do, right? So I remember being like, well, I can't. Like, I just can't afford much. So, like, let's just go get some stuff from Family Dollar. And I remember that's kind of how I started my grocery shopping experience as an adult. And I kind of worked my way up like a Grand Theft Auto style, like literally going from like this shop, and then life got a little bit better, and now I'm like able to shop at like Kroger, Meijer, Walmart, and I feel good about that. That's a nice thing for me. So this story is kind of nostalgic in that way because I definitely notice now that I'm like, yeah, I don't even think about Family Dollar. Like I drive by that shit and I hate it because I used to always go in there and just hate the shopping experience. You never knew what you were gonna find or get, and like you were just happy to get a good deal, but you were hoping that like like I remember never wanting to get meat from there. Like ooh. I know I'm in the weeds here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to really pull from. Um, no, not really. Oh no, I did want to. One more thing I wanted to talk about. Obviously, the losing the jobs that fucking sucks. But the saddest thing is, I'm fortunate enough that I have like a Kroger near me, like, and I landed there. You know what I mean? That's more or less where I go to. And there's a Meijer, there's a Walmart, but there's so many places that are like more or less damn near food deserts, and you just have such limited fucking options. For some people, this was literally all you could afford was a Family Dollar or a Dollar Tree, and now we're saying that these places are gonna go belly up in your local neighborhood. Now, what are you gonna fucking do? So that's something to me that's also disheartening. So not just for the employees that are trying to make a fucking living, but also the people who are shopping here, the consumers. So, I think that's something to think about. This shit it's not cheap because I do go to Kroger every goddamn week and I spend way too much money for one person. I don't really want to like say it. I guess I can say it. My groceries, since I'm a fatty fucking magoo, I spend on average, I think about $80 to $100 on groceries. And I don't feel good about that because I know fucking like single moms with 2 or 3 kids that can like work that shit for like 50, $30 to $50, and they're getting about the same amount somehow of what I'm getting. And I'm like, how are you making this work? This is Christ like what you're doing. And it's like, yeah, I just make it work. And I'm like, I salute you. I'm bowing to my knees. You know what I mean? So yeah, I eat a lot. Okay, whatever. I'm a fatty fucking fat. Anyway. And also, inflation is a bitch, man. Like, 2023 was a killer year for me. I'm actually still, like, kind of thinking about that now as I parallel last year. I don't know if you do that, but, like, I'm still worried about that because I remember I like DoorDashed for like maybe 2 months last year, and I was literally financially ruined. And I'm so like just paralyzed by fear right now because I remember like, oh, this is where shit gets hard, right? Like right around this time as I realized I had no money because I was like buying fucking DoorDash orders for nothing so I could eat it at work. Oh yeah. I thought I was fat off the hog. I thought I was king money. Anyway, enough ranting, enough, whatever. Yap session over. Anyway, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. You become a newsy today. Shout you out at the top of the month. Plug a project if you'd like. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. And feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials you're on. And hopefully you're subscribed to the YouTube. It really helps out a lot. I'm sitting under 60 subscribers, like 58. Love to bump those numbers up. On Spotify, I'm sitting at like 66. That's a cute number, but we could always get it bigger, bigger, bigger. But yeah, I mean, doing that helps out a lot. Hitting the like button, leaving a cool comment, sharing is always caring. I say that all the time. But yeah, I mean, just generally being a listener and hanging out with me. I love being on your car rides to work. I love yapping you to sleep if I'm doing that. I just like being a part of your life, you know what I mean? And I like y'all hitting me up and talking to me about news. I love that shit like a pig loves shit. Okay? All right? So, like, you really can just help out in so many ways. And hopefully, I am helpful and useful to you. Um, but yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully, I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye bye.